Joining me today is Mr. Kailash Kulkarni, the CEO of HSBC Mutual Funds, a veteran with over 30 years of experience and a key voice in India's mutual fund industry. Welcome, Mr. Kulkarni.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, starting with the first question, your recent Retire to More campaign has a very refreshing view of retirement. What was the insight behind it, the core motivation maybe?
So firstly, thank you that you found it refreshing, and I think that's exactly what we wanted to do, is to break the clutter in terms of, retirement should be considered as boring. Retirement should be considered as something, which, oh my God, that kind of feeling. But retirement should be looked forward to. And when we started speaking to an array of people, we started asking questions to them in terms of what is it that they would want to do. And three themes stood out. And we said, let's try and make certain films and communication which is more lighthearted, which people would like to relate to. If they see the film, they should say, oh, that's me. And that's how we have built the whole campaign around it. And that's the reason we just took the aspirations, what people have, and we tried to put them into reality.
So, if you remember a previous campaign, SIP hai, Faide Wali Baat. So, was something from there that has been a key takeaway or maybe learning that has helped in this campaign?
Yeah, sure. So, firstly, Faide Wali Adat, hashtag Faide Wali Adat. Yeah. It's a very colloquial term which is used. So, there's no technical jargon or anything surrounding it. And people related to it because they could immediately say that, okay, if I do SIP, there's some benefit that I'm accruing to it. Yeah. And that really helped us because I think people picked up again on the videos, which were light-hearted, funny, and they said that, okay, this is something which is good. While SIPs has now become a culture in the Indian investor, they want to do SIPs. A lot of people don't really plan for SIPs. So this was a way of saying that, okay, it helps you for certain goals or something in life. And that's what we really brought about. So again, it was listening to the voice of the consumer. And that's what we picked up. So when we talked of retirement, retirement is a separate goal by itself. But what we really wanted to showcase is you can build your goal through a long-term SIP that you can do, rather than get stressed about it when it's too late in life. So if you plan well, you can exactly do what you want to do post-retirement.
So as you said, the three films, which was about life, it was passion, freedom and life, I guess. So in it, what was the research like? Was it... Yeah.
So there's a very clear research which says that, a very significantly large population of people, 40% plus kind of people, have not really planned for retirement. And while they would like to retire and lead a good life, when they come very close to retirement, they realize that they would have to do something post-retirement to continue earning because they have not saved up enough of a kitty. So this was a very stark reminder. Unlike in the past, when most of the time the children would take care of the parents, and hence, retirement wasn't such a big issue because, the child was supporting you. Yeah. Today, the children are not necessarily staying in the same town as the parents. They are either abroad or in some other town, and many a time parents are reluctant to move out of their social circle and move into other towns or cities or even abroad. So clearly they need to fend for themselves in terms of retirement. And suddenly people start realizing, whether it's a man or a woman, that, oh, I have not done enough. So this came out very, very clearly in the survey. And many people said that we will have to continue to do something to earn money post-retirement. So it was not that they wanted to, it was like they were being forced to do it. So these were the insights which came out through the research, through which we said that you should plan well for your retirement.
Something adding to this, was your target only the people who are about to retire, or was it someone who is planning for the retirement, like the ones in their 40s, maybe early 40s?
Yes, so I think anybody from 35 plus was our target audience, not somebody who's already close to 55 and very close to retirement. That's not the whole segment. So say around the 40 plus or minus a few years, because they have enough time to plan their retirement well. And you talked about the three films, right? So when we spoke to people, what was the insight? One insight was, oh, this was my passion. I used to be a dancer. I wanted to perform on stage. After retirement, can I do that? So, that was one film. That's the genesis came out from there. A lot of people, in fact, talk to us. In fact, youngsters more so talk to us about travel, seeing the world. So the whole idea of, enjoying life post-retirement by traveling all over, that was coming out from people. And many of the youngsters we spoke to actually don't want to retire at 60. They want to retire earlier. Now, you can't really retire earlier unless you plan well for it. And then there were these hidden talents like singing, chef, baking. So we took one of those inspirations to make a third film about somebody in the corporate world sets up his own bakery, to do pursue his passion post-retirement. So that was the whole objective and idea behind these films. So we clearly are not targeting somebody who's in the late 50s, but we want people to start thinking about it when they're 35, 40. So they have a good 10, 15, 20 years of planning for retirement.
Speaking of it, the campaign has been distributed over social media platforms, digital platforms, outdoor. So what was the strategy behind the media mix? And also, if you can give some numbers, which one is resonating more?
So we have not really launched the full-on campaign as of now. So it will be done over a period of couple of months. Right now, we focus more on social and digital media. We've done a little bit of outdoor, which is the branding of the metro or the city for buses, where you can see the visibility and you do retirement to more. If you scan the QR code, it gets you to our retirement calculator, which helps people calculate how much money they need to save for their retirement. So that's already been done. But we would want to extrapolate this into television. So you will see this campaign unfold over the next 1 month or so into multiple mediums which are there. And then we'll really be able to tell you how well it works. But right now, the social print that we have done has worked very well in terms of views and impressions that we have got on it.
So the campaign here highlights 4 in 10 affluent Indians feeling unprepared for retirement. Is HSBC Mutual Fund planning to translate this insight into something as a long-term behavioral change?
Yes, absolutely. I think goal planning, if you talk to any individual, the first 3 goals which people will talk about is children's education or housing loan or a holiday kind of thing, short-term holiday, one exotic holiday that you want to do. Very few people are talking about their own retirement. And that's a conversation I think we need to start having at every forum. So what we've started doing is that apart from this initiative of Retire to More, virtually in every gathering that we are meeting people, in every forum, whether it's through media interviews like this or any way, we are trying to bring about the conversation about retirement. And we are not bringing out the conversation of retirement as, oh my God, I have retired and now, what can I do? I'm not prepared. I'm saying that start preparing yourself so you can really have a fantastic and happy retirement. So we are trying to get people to start engaging and starting to have a conversation around retirement. So when we do these small group meets, physical, across the country through our offices, we are now talking about retirement and why it is so important and essential to plan for retirement. So in every way, we are trying to communicate this message. So I think this should become a kind of a national focus because it is so important.
So what kind of early signs of success have you seen, like any significant rise in investments?
So, I'll just give you an anecdotal incident, right? Before we really launched this campaign outside, we had our annual event for our own HSBC group employees. And we actually ran this calculator out there. And people used the calculator to plan for their requirement. And it was kind of a shock to them, oh my God, I need to save so much. Because the thought, what happens is that calculator it triggers a thought process of I need to do more to save for my retirement. So it was a good insight we got from a closed user group of HSBC employees saying that, oh, this is something that we can really use. And wherever we have gone, 3 I wouldn't say long term, but because we just launched the campaign 2 weeks back, the instant feedback is the films are warm. I can relate to them. Yes, I also want to travel. I also want to start my home cooking business. So immediate responses is it's a nice campaign. So that's something which has come about, and a lot of people have actually thanked us by saying that, oh, the calculator is really useful. Plan it in a better manner. That's how we are looking at it.
That would be something for my next question. The average retirement savings in India is estimated to be around 3,90,000. So, how do you plan to make the investors believe that it's achievable rather than daunting?
So, it is achievable, but you need to have that little bit of dauntingness. That's not really an English word, but I need to use that word.
Yeah.
The reason is, if they are not scared enough, they don't take that first step of starting to invest immediately. They need to understand that, oh, I need to start today. I think is the key to the success. I can very easily procrastinate and say I'll start it 6 months later. But it's not 6 months later. If you realize the importance, you need to start it today. So if you need to make certain changes in your lifestyle, to that extent, you need to do that. Otherwise, that your retirement will be 60, and 60% of the people or 40% of the people who say that I'm not prepared for it at all at the time of retirement. You shouldn't come into that kind of a situation. So as long as the conversation begins and people start looking at it, we are actually quite happy.
As financial literacy is still a barrier for many people in India, many people as you said, many regional areas might not have access to that financial education. So apart from the campaigns, is anything else being done on ground level or community-led initiatives to help these people know more?
So we actually do a lot at HSBC Mutual Fund and also at the industry level. So at both levels, there's a lot of ground level activity being done to promote financial literacy. For example, we actively work with many areas of the defense forces to educate their people, the soldiers, the commanders, various others at their respective battalions to say why investments is important. You just can't keep your money lying, for a long term with the low. One of the key things, and I think this is very, very important, if you look at our messaging of retirement, is we talk about factoring inflation. Very few people in India factor inflation. So for example, if today somebody says that I have 50,000 rupees is good enough for my monthly expense, they don't realize that 15 years later, this 50,000 is not going to be good enough for that monthly expense. Because this 50,000 will be worth something like 3-4 lakh rupees because of sheer inflation. So are they thinking about it? And our calculator actually inputs that inflation value to calculate what is the future expense that you will need. So while people may say that, I have saved enough and I have a PF money I will get and I'll get my gratuity money, blah, blah. The thing is that they don't really get the nuance because of the inflation. So we are trying to get that part into the conversation also. So when we do these on-ground activities, we actually talk about these initiatives. We've done more than 50,000 plus defense personnel we have educated in terms of financial planning. Apart from that, we conduct about anywhere between 100 to 150 on-ground initiatives on a monthly basis. Small initiatives could be for 15 people to 50 people, depending on the crowd, and talk to them on financial planning, investment, why you should start immediately. So there's a lot of amplification on the ground which is done through multiple. We have a tie-up with school teachers. So we train CBSE school teachers on financial planning. Hopefully, if you train a teacher, they'll talk to their students. So it's starting them young. So there's a lot more that we end up doing on that.
Also, in the light of the global uncertainties and the market fluctuations, what steps is HSBC Mutual Funds taking to safeguard investors' confidence and ensure long-term steady returns?
So we have different ways of communicating with the investors. Most of our investors come in through a distribution partner. So our job is all twofold. One is to talk to the investor directly. Two is to talk to our distributors and educate them. For distributors, we organize webinars, not just with our own team conducting the webinars, which is the local Indian team, but we also get global experts to talk about geopolitical events and various other things, which is very helpful for our distribution partners. For end investors, we have a monthly newsletter which talks about basics about investing, why focusing on goals is important, long-term investments is important. We've actually given data and statistics on not just the current global events which we are seeing today, but in the past, the global events which have happened, how markets have recovered after that. So if intrinsically your economy is doing very well, then staying invested is very important. So we have actually given data points to show that if you had panicked and withdrawn money, how you would have lost money in future, because markets tend to recover. And the whole idea, while we are talking of investments, we talk of long term. But then if I just say long term without associating a goal to it, people don't understand. And that's how retirement comes into play. Because retirement is possibly in today's day and age the longest goal that you can focus on. While a child's education is like, if your child is in fifth, it's for, 10 years or 15 years at best. A house could be 3 years or 5 years or 7 years. Retirement is when you are technically, in our minds in India, we talk of when you reach the age of 60. So you're really focusing on this long-term, disciplined approach through SIP so that people enjoy the benefits of maximizing their returns post-inflation, post-tax. I think that is the most important message. And hence, #retire tomorrow, it just brings the entire picture together.
The last question would be, apart from retirement, is there any other like education or maybe health which you are focusing on or going to focus on in the future?
So again, we truly believe in goal-based investments. We take it one at a time. So it depends on the audience that we are addressing. So when we are doing it with the school teachers, our focus was very clearly on post-graduation, for students post-graduation. So it's a more 5 to 7 year kind of goal-based focused approach that we are talking about. But if we are doing it with, say, the defense personnel, because if you take a soldier, the soldier retires at the age of 38 or 40. So he has a good 40 years of lifespan. So we talk of longer term investments out there. So it really depends on the audience. You decide which goal that you would like to bring forth to the audience and then try to pitch that. We have done work with very young children where we have talked to those children about what do you want to be? And unlike, in my generation, answers were very simple. You'd either be an engineer, you'd be a doctor, or you will be a chartered accountant. It was as simple as that. Today, if you talk to children, they don't have these standard things, right? They have very exotic futures that they want. Somebody wants to be an astrophysicist, somebody wants to be an astronaut, somebody wants to do a chef. They have various variety. So trying to bring that out and telling parents that, everything costs money. It's not easy. If you want to, just assume you want to be a film star, you still have to go through a college to learn. So that requires planning. So that's a good 10, 15, 20 year kind of investment horizon. So it's a multiple. So really, we don't have a one size fits all. That's not the idea and the objective. We have multiple stories. Depending on the audience, we take the right story and bring it in front of the audience.
That's all, sir. And it was like great talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you once again for the patient listening.